Hello everyone, and welcome today for our 3R Roto Molded boxes webinar. I'm really sorry for last week when we had to cancel the webinar, but unfortunately I got ill due to some food poisoning, but luckily I'm back okay. So today we're going to kick it off. So let me start introducing how our webinar works. For people who are not familiar with it, most of you have followed one of our webinars in the past, but it is a live webinar. I'm talking live to you, and if you have any questions, you can ask them during the webinar by just filling out the box on your right-hand side, and the question will pop up on my screen, and I will try to do my best to answer your question immediately. So let's take a look at today's webinar and walk a little bit through the motions we're going to follow today and the agenda. And we're going to kick it off with an introduction to rotational molding. Some of you may have seen it or may have not, but it will take only 2.5 minutes. Then we're going to take a quick look at the material of which our 3R roto molded boxes are made. And then we start looking down at the features of these boxes, how the part numbers are built up, what kind of varieties we have, which accessories we have. And we also do a quick comparison between injection molded case and a roto molded case, which type of production and case has its own advantages. And then we're going to look at some sources of information, so you can retrieve some tutorials, some brochures, and some data sets. And we're going to top it off with some Q&A. So at first, let's take a look at roto molding, and I will try to do something new this webinar, and I will incorporate a small YouTube video which was made by Dave Sanderson, also known as Big Dave, from SKB cases in the US, where on a video he is explaining the roto molding process quite briefly. So just a second and I will start that video, and it should pop up right now.
Okay, this machine here is a Very Model 280 rotational molder. The way rotational molding works is you use the plastic is actually a powder. We weigh the thing out and we basically bucket into these hollow molds. They go into this big oven where the temperature is about 750 degrees, and it rolls around on 3 axes, and the plastic melts and it coats the inside of the mold basically via gravity. Then it goes into that chamber there, which is a cooling chamber where they'll spray it with a fine mist of water. And finally, this is the loading and unloading station where they open the molds up, take the parts out, put the powdered plastic back in, close them up, and get ready for the oven. The cool thing about rotomolding is a really great way to make hollow parts, and what we at SKB have gotten really good at is making multiple piece molds that go together almost like a Chinese jigsaw puzzle, where we can accomplish the same thing that they do with a wooden case without having to cut up a bunch of pieces of wood and rivet together with angle and corner pieces and things like that. So we get this unitized structure that's extremely strong, extremely lightweight. What they're putting in now.
So I'm back. I hope everybody was able to hear and see the video quite well. If you had some trouble with the sound volume, just type me a message and I can send you the link of the YouTube video. So just a quick recap of the roto molding process. So all our 3R boxes are rotationally molded, which is great for creating strong and impact resistant boxes. You've seen that the molds are built up like a puzzle. So they're being put together before the material goes in, and afterwards the molds are taken apart when the finished product comes out. So the product is made by rotating the mold on all 3 axes through an oven which is about 300 plus Celsius or 600 plus Fahrenheit. And in there it goes about 20-25 minutes in the oven. Afterwards it cools down, and then after a while the mold is taken apart and the product comes out. So all in all, the cycle time is well over an hour to create one box specifically. What's also good about rotomolding is that it also allows you to reinforce certain parts by rotating in that direction a bit more often, reinforcing certain parts of the box. Another good thing with rotomolding is that you can create shapes and dimensions and sizes of boxes that you can't do with injection molding due to the fact that there is no draft angle in a mold to take the mold out. So that's why you can make bumpers and you can make all sorts of shapes and sizes. So the material itself has a lot of shrinkage. So that's why afterwards, after the production, the box and the lid are put together so they shrink in a perfect size together. So that's quickly an introduction about rotomolding. If somebody has any questions, you can ask them now or later on. So let's take a look at the material. I have a slide here, and it shows how fine of sandy and dusty the plastic is. So all our cases are made from linear low density polyethylene, which has more or less the same characteristics as polypropylene in terms of flex and impact resistance. And we make ours from a hot melt color compound, which is different than a cold concentrate compound because it doesn't really pollute the material or weakens the material. So it's a good way of creating colors. I just show you on camera a bit the difference in the material. So you can see how fine the powder is here as compared to the really grindy polypropylene material. And of course that makes perfect sense because if you would make it with those grinds, it would take a lot longer for all the plastic to melt inside the mold when it's rotating. So that's why it's made from a very fine powdery type of plastic. Now another thing that we do with rotomolding is creating a lot of inmolds, and for later applying and mounting components like wheels, latches and hinges. And you have an example of that one on the screen, and it's these type of components where we can later mount the hinges and the latches on, because we only have to rivet them through the holes that you can see on the screen, which allows for also much faster assembly. And it's also good because it ensures the water tightness of the box without having to use a watertight rivet or some extra washers. So I'll show you maybe a bit better on the video of how it looks, those inmolded components. And here you can see perfectly well how it's been molded into the plastic of the case. So these little butterfly components are for the latches and the hinges. And if you look at the opposite side, this is how it looks from the exterior. And it's very easy, as you can see on the right hand side, with a black component where we mount the butterfly latches on. So that's why you can see it's really easy for mounting them. And the same is done for the wheels. It's basically a screw thread, and I've marked a picture and an arrow which shows you where the component is mounted. Again, it's molded nice and neatly in the plastic. It is watertight, it is fixed firm and strongly, and it's very easy to screw the wheels onto the case. So that covers the rotomolding. Now let's take a look at some other features of our 3R boxes. And let's start by beginning the difference between the 3R boxes and the I-series injection molded cases by showing you the valve difference. So all injection molded I-series cases have a breather valve, which is basically a Teflon membrane that keeps water out or water molecules out, but air is allowed to flow freely between the inside and the outside without any, well, actually you need a bit of pressure difference, but not to a certain level. So that's what we have, a breather valve like on the I-series. On the rotomolded cases, we have a pressure relief valve, which works with a pressure difference between the inside of the box and the outside of the box of 1 psi, which is pound per square inch. And as soon, it actually has a valve, as soon as there's a pressure difference, the valve opens up. I hope you can see it pretty neatly from here. You can see how it moves, and basically it's the valve, and when there's pressure, it will open the valve in that direction. So all of our 3R series boxes have a pressure relief valve, and it's mounted mostly on the front of our boxes. And keep in mind that there's a difference between the breather valve and the pressure relief valve, although most commonly they're both called pressure relief valves. Don't ask me why, it's just how it happens in practice. So then on the next slide you can see the way we also make our cases watertight, and inside the lid is a gasket, and we make our gasket from EPDM material with a hollow core inside, and the hollow core allows for a very nice way of compressing the gasket when the male profile in the base is pushing inside the female profile in the lid where the rubber gasket is mounted. And I can show you a bit the hollow core on screen so that you'll hopefully be able to see. Inside the core of the gasket, you can see it's opened with a small space. And as soon as you are pressing the male profile and the female profile, that allows for a neatly squeezing of the gasket to make your case absolutely watertight. So when we move on with the features, all our latches. Oh, I'm going to kick off with the handles first. These handles are made from ABS for strength, and after that we overmold the handles with a thermoplastic elastomer for a little bit more of a soft touch. So all our handles are spring-loaded. Normally you can't see the back of them, but you can see here a spring inside the handle, which makes sure the handle pops down into the same position after you put the case down. So as you can see on the box, on the picture as well on your screen, the handles are recessed for extra durability, and this case is a little bit lower, but here is the handle, and it's recessed within the bumpers of the case, meaning that it can't get a big impact while transporting or if it's stuck behind something, and that allows for more durability in the end. So all the other components, the latches, the wheels, and the hinges are mounted on the inside with in-molded components. The only thing that's been drilled through and mounted with screws, washers, and nuts are our handles. And they are closed by using a Nylox washer on the inside, making sure they stay absolutely watertight. If you have a spare handle, you can see with the components we supply you for mounting the handles, but by supplying the nuts and the bolts and the Nylox washers, it remains watertight. The carrying capacity for one handle is 50 kilograms, and that's technically more than a person should carry, or by many regulations is allowed to carry. So that's 50 kilogram carrying capacity per handle. We have a question if the gaskets can be replaced. Yes, we can send you a spare gasket, and we typically glue them in with a little bit of epoxy so they stay nice and neatly mounted inside the lid. So that was a question that came in. I hope that answers your question. If not, just ask me some more information about how to replace the gasket. So next, and it's the same way of mounting the components, is recessed inside the bumpers of the case, the stainless steel powder-coated latches. So all the hardware on the case, latches and hinges, is black powder-coated stainless steel, and they're also recessed for extra durability inside the case. All of our 3R boxes have minimum one butterfly latch, which has an eye for a padlock. I don't have a spare one with me here, but I do have one on the case, and I'll show you now. I hope you can still see it on the camera. You can mount a TSA padlock or any other padlock on the eye of the butterfly latch, meaning no unwanted person or staff can get inside the box if you close them with one of these padlocks. The larger models have two, the smaller models have one butterfly latch with an eye for a padlock. So let's quickly look at how the part numbers are built up. And it's basically the same way as we do our I-series, which is very easy for recognizing and identifying which box you have. So all dimensions in the part number are in inches. The first two digits are for the length of the case, so that's for the length of the case. The second digit is for the width of the case, which is marked by the blue line and dimensions on the slide on your screen. And on the green, the interior height of the case in inches are the last two digits of the part number. Well, with injection mold, it's fairly easy or fairly easy to see how the dimensions are made. With roto molding, because the shape from the mold is a bit different, and you also have like one of these rims inside, so actually below the surface is a bit wider. We always measure the internal dimensions on the top of the base of the case. So although there's a little bit more below, we always measure it here in terms of length and here in terms of width. And they're based on the smallest available dimensions of this case. So that's for the first three pair of digits. And then we're going to look at the letters involved in the part number. And again, for those who order a lot of I-series, it's quite familiar. The first letter behind the last two digits stands for the color, where B means black, and then we have a few other options like M, which is olive drab, T for desert tan, and gray, a G for gray, for instance. The last letter on the part number is for the variant. Most of the boxes we sell are empty. We do have them also in cube foam, layered foam, or with padded dividers. Just replace the E by a C, L, or D in the part number. Let's take a look at some of the accessories we have on for the roto molded boxes. We have, for instance, the TSA padlocks, like I previously showed you, which are these for closing the butterfly latches, so no unwanted person or staff can get inside the box. We have the forklift riser kit, which is very convenient for if you have a big box with lots of weight inside and you want to move it with a pallet or even a forklift truck. You can just mount these on all four corners, and it's very easy to lift it with a forklift or a pallet cart. Some of the boxes have wheels already mounted on them with a pull handle or a tow handle. There's also boxes that don't have any wheels, and then we basically have a caster kit which you mount below the box on four corners, or a side caster kit which is shown on the panel here. That one takes quite a bit of work, and we have a demonstration available on where exactly to mount them on the side of the boxes, but it involves some cutting and some drilling. But we have a really good tutorial to do that, but it will take you 45 minutes to an hour to mount the edge wheels on one of your R-series boxes. And another one we have, which comes with rivets, is a ship label plate to mount them on the 3R series boxes. You just have to drill 4 holes and basically pop rivet the ship label plate onto the box. Then there's some customizing options available. Well, what we can do is make a lid removable. Here it comes with a few nylon straps, and so the lid stays open. We can also replace the hinges on the back side of the box for some more butterfly latches, and that way you can take the whole lid off of the case if that's easier for your customer's application. Another thing we can do is reverse it. So we can mount the hardware upside down and the handles upside down. So basically you have a hood model where the lid is the bottom of the case and the base will be the top of the case, which is very easy if you have to load a lot of heavy stuff into the box. Then you don't have to lift it at first all the way over the top of the base. You can just place it below That's what we call a hood model. And we can do some other customizing, like fitting a humidity indicator onto the case. One of the images on the screen is a handle for crane lifting. So it's a very heavy load and you want to lift it. You shouldn't do it with a normal handle. We have one of those crane lifting handles if you need to mount on. We can hot stamp something on the case in terms of text. Basically, there's a lot of options we can do at the factory for you and your customer. So that covers a bit about the 3R boxes, how they're made, what the features are, what customizing options there are, the part numbers. Now let's take a quick recap at the differences between the rotationally molded boxes and the I-series molded boxes, because we have some similar sizes. For instance, these 17 by 10 inch roto molded cases is actually the same as a injection molded case. Well, at first, this one is made of polypropylene and this one is made of linear low density polyethylene, the 3R case. I would say probably the advantage goes to the I-series because it's less weight, it's cheaper when you buy one, and it's also a little bit easier to fit custom interior. And with weight advantage and price advantage, you have to check, for instance, the weight is about 20-25% less, and the price can be 30-35% less for the I-series compared to the rotationally molded boxes. But what is cool with these rotationally molded boxes is that you can do relatively easy customizing of the box, like I showed you, making a hood model instead of the traditional case model, doing maybe a custom color. So there the advantage is definitely for the rotationally molded boxes. A lot easier to do some customizing on. Also, a lot easier to do colors in small batches. You know, with our I-series, sometimes you have to order 100 or 250 pieces to get a desert tan case or an olive drab case. With the roto molded boxes, we can do it from 5 pieces onwards, basically. So for 5 pieces, you can have a desert tan, a gray, an olive drab case. And another thing with the rotationally molded boxes, and you can see that when you check our assortment, is we have, you can make a lot bigger and bulkier products with roto molding than you can do with injection molding. Anything above 40-inch length, 20-inch wide, you can only do with roto molding in our assortment. Otherwise, you will get with the I-series the really low, long weapon kind of cases. But with rotational molding, you can make a 45-inch case by 30-inch wide by 24-inch height, which you can never ever do with injection molded with our current machinery. So that's a bit of the difference for the I-series versus the 3R roto molded boxes. And I will just now show you some of our information sources where you can find more information. We have hard copy a leaflet which shows all sizes, and currently it's about 31 sizes and up. And you can download the leaflet, or we can send you a bunch of hard copy, whichever one you prefer. Let us know and we'll get the information to you. And there it shows in which variant it comes, if it has wheels or not, if it comes with dividers or not, and a few of the accessory options which I've just shown you as well. So that's available. And if you go to our partner website, on the home page, on the right top side is a partner login where you can log in, and as soon as you log in, you will get the following dashboard, which shows you anything you can find and do on our website. Is you can download all brochures digital, some point of sales materials, we have a comparison chart. If you want some more technical information, you can download all data sets with dimensions, features, specifications. That's very easy in Excel to download. We have an image portal where you can immediately download a whole set of images for a certain product group. And then on the last category, there's some technical information like testing documents and some tutorials and installation manuals. So that covers about it. A quick recap of what we've just discussed and taken a look at is the roto-molded process, how we can make these indestructible cases that come with a lifetime warranty. So if it breaks, we replace it. We have a great range of sizes and variants and models. A little bit of a comparison between the I-Series and the 3R roto-molded boxes, and a little bit about the technical features and benefit. And last but not least, I've shown you where to find the information. If you go there and you miss some information, give us a call, send us an email, and we'll get the information to you. So if you have any questions you want to ask me now, feel free to ask them. If it's enough for your information, you can also leave the webinar and log off. I hope you will fill out the evaluation form at the end. It will help us improve our webinars for you. So if you have some questions, just pop them in. If the 3R cases are stackable, it's a good question. It's basically the same as with our I-Series. Yes, they are stackable, but they are only stackable with the same size. So you can see here the cavities on the case. I will try to show you. Just close one butterfly ledge. It's all the components inside. So in here you can see the protruding part on the base, which fits in the cavity on the top. So yes, they are stackable, but only with the same size. One of the questions is if all the racks are made of the same material as the roto-molded pistons. Yes, it's all from the polyethylene, the linear low density polyethylene that our roto-molded shock racks and 3R boxes are made. Another question we have is what type of foam is the cube foam or the layered foam that we provide? It's an ELE polyurethane foam, ether like ester, what we all say. So ELE polyurethane foam, and mostly or almost always the layers are 2 inches thick, and the density of the foam is between 1.4 1.7 pounds per cubic feet. I don't know from the top of my mind the conversion to the metric system, but for those who'd like to know, drop me an email and I will do the conversion for you. So made from ELE polyurethane foam, 2 inches is a typical layer, and the density is 1.4 1.7 pounds per cubic feet. So any more questions, please feel free to ask. If you can print a logo on the cases. Unfortunately, no. The thing is with polyethylene is that we've tried a lot of silk screen printing on the case, and it won't stick to the case. In some ways, you can, I don't know the English translation for that word, pre-treated material, but even that doesn't give any conclusive or steady results on screen printing. The only option on the flat surfaces we can offer is maybe some hot stamping, but a screen printing you can't put on the boxes. The same is for stickers. We have somebody coming in next week here that has some sticker material that we can fit on the smooth part of the box probably. I will let you know, but that's also why we have the ship label plate, because it's also very difficult to find an adhesive sticker that will fit onto the case, just basically because of the material characteristics. From which quantity can we customize a 3R box is another question. That depends a little bit what you understand about or what your definition of customizing is. If, for instance, you just want to make a base model, turn it over and making it a hood model, so the lid is the bottom part and the base is the top part, we can do that from 5 pieces onwards. If you want a different color, desert tan, olive drab, or gray, the standard different colors that we have, 5 pieces and upwards, we can already make it. So that's really small, especially compared to injection molding. The other things like fitting a humidity indicator or maybe doing some different hardware on the case, or maybe altering the design completely a little bit, that requires a little bit larger quantities. But typically, from 50 pieces onwards, we can do a lot of stuff. So a lot of things by reversing the base and the top, or making not a lid but the top completely off, that we can do from 5 pieces onwards. If you can replace a lid if it's broken, technically you could, but due to the shrinkage factor, and after production, the lid and the base of the case are shrunk together, and it's not really consistent, same process that it shrinks in the same direction. The answer to that is no. If a case is broken, we will probably replace, we always replace the case under its lifetime warranty, and you will get a new case from us. So no need to replace the lid. We will ship out a new case if it's broken. That comes with our lifetime warranty. So any more questions? If not, I will just end it here. You can always rewatch our webinar if you want to find out some specific information. You missed a few. I can understand it's a lot of information at once. So you can always watch the replay of this webinar anytime you want. So if there's no more questions, then I will just end the webinar here. And a big thank you for all of you watching. And if you have any suggestions for the next webinar, if you want maybe to do some comparison between our boxes and some other boxes, or I-series and other injection molded cases, some applications, any suggestions for webinar is more than welcome. And so do that in the evaluation form or by writing me an email. And then for the next webinar series, we can incorporate maybe something of your suggestions. So thanks all for watching, and see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.